Scaling your business isn't just about growth. It's about developing a business model, systems, and strategy so that revenue can grow faster than expenses. Hi, this is Ral West. Thanks for joining me today to talk about identifying opportunities to scale your business. In the new book by Rory and AJ Vaden, Wealthy and Well Known, AJ Vaden explains the difference between scale and growth. She said, a scalable company is able to grow its revenues without having to grow its expenses at the same rate. She explains that growth is usually accompanied by more spending, but in order to really scale a business, your spending should become proportionately less as your revenue grows. For example, a business that has gross revenue of $500,000 and a 10% profit margin could double its revenue to $1 million. But if the profit margin stays the same, that is growth, not scale. Revenue of $1 million would generate a 10% profit of $100,000 versus a 50% profit, a $50,000 profit, from revenue of $500,000. It's the same profit margin. Let's say you start with costs of 90 cents for every dollar of revenue. That's a 10% profit margin. With growth, that ratio does not change. It doesn't matter if you earn $500,000 or $1 million or $5 million, your costs are still 90 cents per dollar of revenue. That is growth. With scale, let's say you start with costs of 90 cents per dollar of revenue, 10% profit margin. Over time, as your revenue increases and your costs decrease to, let's say, 70 cents per dollar of revenue. So now you have a revenue of $1 million versus $500,000 and costs of $700,000 versus $450,000 before. So now you have doubled the revenue, but your profit margin is 30%, not 10%. That is scale. A real-life example of this, cited by AJ Vaden in her book, is Netflix. She says in 2003, Netflix made $6.5 million in profit on $272 million in revenue. That's a 2.3% margin. Fast forward 20 years. In 2023, the company generated $33.7 billion in revenue and converted that to $5.4 billion in profit. That's a 16% margin. Now that's some serious scale. So how do you scale a business? When it comes to identifying opportunities to scale your business, most people just talk about financials and marketing. Important? Yes, but there's more to it than that. First of all, you have to choose a business model that allows for scalability and not just growth. Is it possible to decrease the proportionate costs over time? Can efficiencies be found to reduce the cost per dollar of sales? In some cases, if you're selling a tangible product and it costs X to make that product, scalability might be difficult unless you're able to determine ways to produce or buy that product in higher volumes for a smaller unit cost. You'll need to examine your particular business to find the potential for scalability. In other words, ways to generate higher revenues with lower costs per dollar or per unit. In my experience, real sustainable growth and scalability comes from what's happening behind the scenes, increasing efficiencies. And it's also about mindset. You need to start by becoming the owner and not the operator of your business. The opportunity to grow and scale isn't out of reach, but it starts when you stop trying to do it all yourself. I once worked with a business owner on Maui who was incredible at customer service, but she'd never run a business before. She was doing everything herself. She was answering calls during meetings, when we were out to dinner, even in the middle of the night. So we taught her how to track the right metrics so she knew how her business was performing, how to create written procedures so she could train others and step back, and how to build a support team. Even using contractors, she was then able to delegate confidently and take some of the burden off of her shoulders. And the result? She scaled her vacation rental business 10 times. And now she takes month-long vacations knowing her business still runs smoothly. I spent years in the trenches of our business, wearing all the hats, doing all the things. We were the true definition of a mom and pop shop. But if we wanted to scale, something had to change. And that shift started not just with revenue growth, but with identity transformation. When we stopped working in the business and started working on it. You can't scale if you're still the gatekeeper. You must shift from being the operator to being a true business owner. And here's what made the difference for us. Number one, we built systems, so the business didn't rely on us for every task or decision. Number two, we tracked performance. We had regular data reports, which enabled us to make smarter decisions. Number three, we leveraged wisely, using automation and delegation and smart hires. Number four, we built a strong culture, so our people were aligned with our values and goals, and we played a win-win game. Number five, we empowered our team. We gave them clear guidelines, purposeful and comprehensive onboarding and training, and trust. Number six, we focused on delivering world-class customer service. We focused on delighting our customers. That's what builds long-term success. All of these work together to create a business that's scalable and sustainable. And it worked. We scaled our company to 8 digits in annual revenue, and then we were able to sell it to Alaska Airlines in a successful exit. So what is blocking you from scaling? Is it you? Working in the business is seductive. It feels productive, but real growth isn't found just in task volume. It's found in system design. If you're approving every email and solving routine issues and making all the daily operational decisions, you're trapped and you're the bottleneck. To scale, you must let go of being the go-to person. You must trust others to do the work. And you have to see yourself as the architect, not the handyman. System building is the heart of a scale. And here's how it works. First, you document the work. SOPs, or standard operating procedures, are non-negotiable. You must capture processes in writing or video with detailed job descriptions and manuals for every position and function. And you can do this using Loom and Google Docs or other tools. Second, you need to centralize and automate. It's important to have all the detailed manuals and job descriptions easily accessible in a central location. Storing them online is easy. You can store them centrally in Notion and ClickUp, Dropbox, or even Google Docs. You can use ClickUp, integrating it with Zapier to eliminate manual transfers, and have it all automated. And third, you need to test, refine, and evolve. It's important to continually review your SOPs and workflows. And whenever a mistake happens, upgrade the system. It's much more effective for the long term than just coaching or chastising a single person. And please note, a system is only as strong as the people who use it. Make sure your people have the tools that they need to be successful. And job descriptions need to be more than just a what to do. You also need to focus on what to achieve. You need to continually outline what a good job looks like. Accountability is most effective and meaningful if it's visible. For example, you can track your KPIs for every role publicly in dashboards. With the resources for each job easily accessible, new members can do much of their own onboarding themselves. They can review the SOPs and check off each one completed on a checklist. And you confirm that they've completed all the steps. And then the onboarding is done. Remember, you can't optimize what you don't measure. It's important to have your key metrics always at hand to allow constant monitoring of your progress. You can use Google Looker Studio and Fathom dashboards or other technology tools and set them up to refresh daily. This way you have your revenue, profit margin, project timelines, and other KPIs always visible. Accountability meetings can become about improving performance and not just hiding gaps. You can schedule weekly 5-minute stand-ups to review your core metrics. Once your systems and teams are ready, your job becomes looking ahead, working on growth strategies, and being the visionary, not the day-to-day problem solver. And be sure you schedule some time for strategy. Block off deep work time every week where you have no calls, no notifications, just thinking time. If you provide the context, you can delegate the rest. You can still share why decisions matter, but they can be made by the team according to your guidelines and objectives. And in time, you should be doing less and leading more. Here are some key steps for you. Conduct a quarterly review of your own role. And delegate or eliminate one new task each month. Teach a team member to cover your entire role. And develop a succession or exit plan. As your role becomes increasingly that of the owner versus the operator, you have paved the way for true scalability. You can use your 10,000-foot perspective to guide your business to achieve greater efficiencies and produce more with less. Your metrics become your guide to decision-making, and you use them to find more ways to improve operational quality and efficiency. Your empowered team becomes an asset in moving the company toward its objectives. And you now have a well-oiled machine working for you. The result is greater freedom for you and greater success for the business. We know this from our own experience. The more we were able to run our business as the owners and not the operators, the more the company grew, and so did our profits. That was true leverage and scale. By applying these principles, we realized that freedom is the result of leverage, and scaling is the ultimate form of leverage. Here are my final thoughts for you. You didn't build a business to become a full-time project manager. You built it to build something bigger and to create the life that you wanted. Let systems, people, and data work for you to help you scale your business. Your role should not be the bottleneck. It should be the springboard to scalable success. If you want to dive deeper on scaling your business and setting up systems, please check out my mastermind program on my website, www.ralwest.com, and join me in my Livin the Dream Mastermind. Thank you for taking the time to watch this today.